The final cut is a masterpiece.
But the first draft is a war zone. This is between the frames.
Mad Max Fury Road stands as a modern monument to pure, visceral cinema.
It's a film often described less as a narrative and more as a sustained, two-hour automotive seizure, a chase sequence of such relentless invention that it redefined the action genre.
It won 6 Academy Awards, all in craft categories, a testament to its technical audacity.
But this iconic piece of filmmaking, which feels so inevitable in its final form, almost arrived in theaters as something profoundly different. A slower, more conventional post-apocalyptic drama, burdened by explanatory flashbacks and character mythology. The alchemy that transformed it from a promising but flawed epic into a landmark of visual storytelling happened not in the brutal deserts of Namibia where it was shot, but in the quiet, deliberate space of the editing suite. The architect of this transformation was editor Margaret Sixel, and her radical philosophy of creative subtraction didn't just polish the film.
It fundamentally rewired its nervous system, and is the singular reason we remember it as a classic. To fully appreciate the magnitude of this save, we must first reconstruct the original vision. Director George Miller, coming from a background that blended mythic storytelling with kinetic action, shot a staggering amount of material.
He built a rich, complicated world. The original assembly included extensive flashbacks that fleshed out the traumas of our protagonists.
We saw Max Rokitansky haunted by ghostly visions of the innocent people he failed to save in the past, including a young girl who symbolized his guilt.
For Imperator Furiosa, there were scenes depicting her childhood capture from the Green Place, the violent mutilation of her arm, and her rise through the ranks of Immortan Joe's war machine.
Furthermore, the political ecosystem of the Citadel, the Bullet Farm, and Gastown was explained through dialogue and exposition.
This first cut presented the story in a more linear, chronological order, prioritizing world building and character backstory. However, this approach created a critical structural flaw. The relentless forward momentum, the very essence and proposed title of Fury Road, was constantly being interrupted. The core chase, the spine of the film, was buried under layers of its own mythology. The film was at war with itself, its pace suffocated by its ambition to explain. The pivotal mechanism that resolved this war was the editorial intervention of Margaret Sixel. As the film's editor and George Miller's wife, she brought a unique combination of intimate trust and clear-eyed objectivity to the project.
Faced with a sprawling, 480-hour mountain of footage, her guiding principle was deceptively simple yet devastatingly effective. If you can understand it without dialogue, cut the dialogue. She embarked on a process not of assembly, but of radical archaeological excavation.
Entire expositional scenes were removed, character explaining flashbacks were stripped away, forcing the audience to read trauma and history solely through Tom Hardy's haunted eyes and Charlize Theron's steel-jawed determination.
Lines of explanatory dialogue were cut, trusting the audience to infer the rules of this world from visual details: the worship of steering wheels, the transfusion of breast milk, the economy of water and bullets.
Sixel didn't just trim the film.
She recut its entire DNA.
She restructured it not as a traditional narrative punctuated by action, but as a single, escalating musical composition, a symphony of rust, metal, and fire where visuals, sound, and music carried the narrative weight.
The Mad Max Fury Road we know exists because Sixel had the courage to remove almost everything that was essential to this pure sensory experience. The impact of this edit transcends simple pacing. It fundamentally altered the film's relationship with the audience and forged a new grammar for action filmmaking.
By removing the explanatory safety net, Sixel and Miller forced viewers into a state of immersive, subjective panic.
We don't learn about this world. We are hurled into it. We understand the value of water not because someone says it's scarce, but because we see a dying man press his face into mud, or an army wage war for a pumping rig. Character is revealed not in monologues, but in microseconds: the glance Furiosa shares with the Vuvellini, the moment Max chooses to redirect his suicidal devotion into a sacrificial act of redemption. This editorial approach created a cinematic language where theme and plot are communicated through choreography and image. The edit proved that emotional resonance and narrative clarity could be achieved through confident omission, trusting the audience's intelligence and the primal power of visual metaphor. It elevated the film from a compelling post-apocalyptic adventure to a wordless, mythic poem about survival, redemption, and humanity stripped to its core. The legacy of Margaret Sixel's edit is profound and twofold. First, It single-handedly cemented Fury Road as a masterpiece of show-don't-tell filmmaking. It is the ultimate case study for how editing is not merely the final stage of production, but a primary act of writing and direction that can define a film's very soul. Second, it championed the editor's role as a core creative architect.
Sixel wasn't just a technician arranging George Miller's shots.
She was a sea author who discovered the true, elemental film hiding within the raw footage.
Her work demonstrates that the most powerful storytelling often requires the painful, disciplined removal of good ideas to make way for a great one. For creators in any medium, the lesson of Fury Road is clear. Have the courage to kill your darlings, to strip away the scaffolding of explanation,
and to trust the raw, emotional, and visual heart of your work to communicate more powerfully than words ever could.
What other films were transformed from good to great by a brave and radical edit? Let us know below.
Subscribe to Between the Frames